I don't even care what the words are. I could just tell you if a girl opens her app and just sees this on the screen, it's already over. Like, it's already over, right?
I don't even think I read
your
it.
head probably goes back at that point, like, dude, chill. So in this video, I wanted to touch on one of the biggest mistakes I see guys consistently making when it comes to text game, which is simply not getting to the point. Okay, having this meaningless back and forth texting with a girl, and the conversation never becomes flirty, it never goes towards the idea of a meetup, and as a result, it's inevitably going to fizzle out. So let's jump into this text conversation, and we're gonna break this down line by line, and I'm actually gonna point out where this dude fucks up, as well as what I would have done differently to actually get this girl. So let's jump into the text conversation. He opens up by commenting on one of her Hinge prompts, which said, typical Sunday is a wake and bake. And he says, are you stoned right now? So I actually like this opener because it is Sunday afternoon. So it's like typical Sunday, wake and bake. He's like, are you high? Are you stoned right now? So I thought that was pretty good.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty funny.
It's funny because it's relevant to right now. So if you guys are gonna use some kind of situational opener or commenting on her bio or something, as long as it's relevant and it is somewhat funny, like that's a great way to get into the conversation. She actually comes back with a pretty bland response saying, not anymore. Okay, from there, he comes back and says, really? I get all lethargic when I come down, so I smoke until I sleep if I start early, with the crying emoji. What did you think at that point?
It didn't really make sense.
I thought this was a dumb response personally, and this is something to keep in mind, guys. If you ever open up the conversation with something that is situational, you need to be thinking ahead in your texting. You need to be thinking, okay, the girl's most likely gonna respond this way.
Yeah.
So if I do send this message and she responds this way, what is my follow-up actually gonna be? Guys have a tendency of thinking about, oh, that's a clever little one-liner, let me just send that. And you didn't even think about what's the next follow-up message. So you wanna start thinking about your texting in a way where you're thinking about a texting sequence. Like, where is this conversation going to go? And that ties back into what I was saying at the beginning of this video about meaningless texting. You wanna start thinking about not just the text I'm gonna send right now, but if I send this message, what's most likely gonna be her response? And then what's my follow-up from that? And how do I end up moving this into either a flirty direction or the idea of us actually meeting up possibly?
Yeah, and like one thing to keep in mind too, is that when girls are texting, they're pretty dry. So if you ask a question, you're going to get just the answer.
She comes back and says, me too, but you have to be strong. Okay, so up until this point in the conversation, I don't really like where it's going so far. Like, I thought the opener was kind of clever and funny. I didn't like his next message. And now I'm thinking, like, where is this conversation going? Because guys, if you're on a dating profile and you match with a girl, I would say within the first 3 to 5 messages of back and forth, it should be moving towards becoming flirty or some kind of banter, or again, the idea of you guys possibly maybe meeting up to do the activity. I would be thinking at this point, in my next response or the one after that, I'm going to either need to switch topic or find a way to make it flirty. I'm not just gonna keep talking about smoking weed and how you can't be high all day. You don't wanna stay on that topic for so long. So I'm hoping in the upcoming messages, this dude finds a way to change topic. Okay, so he comes back with, proud of you for persevering through adversity, which
that doesn't make sense.
I don't, whack response personally.
Yeah.
I didn't like that either. So actually he could have came back with something like, don't worry, I am, ... I wonder if you'd be able to keep up. I like that message because it displays confidence. And again, it's bringing up the idea of us possibly meeting up in the future. And it's also a little bit of a challenge. I wonder if you'd be able to keep up. So anytime you're talking to a girl and you say something about the idea of working out, going on a hike, going out to party, in this case, it's literally just smoking weed. The idea of wonder if you'd be able to keep up. It's a playful challenge that brings up the idea of us, if we were to be together and do this activity, I wonder if you'd be able to keep up. And that's really good because it's low-key presenting the idea of us meeting up without actually straight up inviting her out. So I really like that idea.
Great message.
So from there, he actually does end up switching topic and says, May is a long way off, but I've bounced around Europe. So I like this idea of using the girl's bio or something that's in her pictures, something that's relevant to her profile to switch the topic and get off of whatever the initial opener was. So he says, May's a long way off, but I've bounced around You're up, crying face. So she comes back and says, yeah, a lot of time to plan. So again, you could see very boring, logical conversation back and forth. And this is what it's gonna get you. The girl responding short, logical, emotionless texting. And that's not what you want. Let's see what his actual response is gonna be. He says, LOL, yeah. I hadn't left the country until I studied abroad in Spain for a semester. Where are you going and for how long? So again, guys, you can see the conversation's just being very logical. It's just
nothing spicy.
Yeah,
nothing like
spicy.
flirty
It's
or
lacking
fun.
spice. That's exactly what it is, lacking spice. It's literally just get to know you. And when it's get to know you over an extended period of time, there's no excitement. The girl's not looking forward to the next message. She sent you a bland, boring response, and there's probably another dude in her DM that's sending her something that she's laughing about, she's getting excited about, she's curious about what his response is gonna be. Like, she's not excited for this message. What I would have actually recommended doing—
the question, that's it.
Like exactly, she's literally gonna answer the question. So a way that you could have twisted this, I think, or tweaked this a little bit, would have been the idea of, if I'm ever talking about traveling or if I'm talking about another country, personally, I like to bring up the idea of speaking the language, asking her if she speaks the language, or talking about my ability to speak that other language, because from there, again, I'm thinking multiple messages forward, the play on the words would be the idea of, oh, maybe I could teach you a little bit of blank language sometime, or if you don't know it and she does, oh, you have to teach me how to do blah, 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 blah. Okay, so again, another idea of us possibly doing something in the future. And again, it doesn't need to be you just blatantly asking the girl out. It's just the idea that the conversation is not super logical, but it's moving towards us possibly doing something. You don't need to actually meet up with the girl so she could teach you Spanish, but it just adds that spice to the conversation that this guy is clearly lacking. So she comes back again with plain and simple, boring response. Surprise, surprise. She says, Europe in a month. Okay, so what I don't want to see here is him doing the same thing of just hitting the girl with this logical, boring conversation. If he were to do this again, my guess is that this thing is just gonna fizzle out. And this dude's not a bad looking dude. We can't show him, unfortunately, but like if he was a subpar or even just average looking guy, I think this thread is already cut, honestly. If you have a better looking profile, you may be able to get away with this for a little bit because the girl will engage. But again, he's running the risk at this point where it's just like, it's just a matter of time before this thing fizzles out because it's not moving forward. There's no emotion, there's no flirtiness, there's no idea of meeting up. So she says Europe in a month. Let's see what this guy's gonna come back with finally. Is this gonna be the end all? So he says, okay, so here is my best advice. I already don't like where this is going. It is my view that you really cannot experience all of Europe in a month. Like, obviously. So far, I think it's pointless messaging. And now he's already triple texted. He then comes back with the fourth text, said, I've been living in the US my whole life and I haven't even close to seen the whole thing. It's still not accomplishing anything, bro. Still logical. Now I'm scrolling down. He says, I think 90% of people would try to brainstorm it and go literally everywhere and wear themselves out looking out a train or plane or bus window as they charge from one touristy strip in one major city to the next. It's already over, and I already saw that there's another message coming, bro.
It was already over.
Yeah, but he continues. Oh my God, y'all, how long is this fucking message? But you're young and you're totally gonna get the chance to go back probably a dozen times if you'd like to, so I think the best advice is to choose 1 to 4 countries and actually take the time to experience them and get to know the people and explore the lesser known places. The fucked up thing is this guy thinks he's demonstrating knowledge and experience by sending all of this. He's probably thinking like, damn, she's traveling. Let me show that I've been there before. Let me give her some advice and knowledge and demonstrate I could like be of value to this girl, right? So he goes super overboard. Like before I even read the rest of the message, like let's just look at your total messages is not anymore. Me too, but you've been too strong. Yeah, a lot of time to plan. Europe in a month. This one response is like,
too much.
What, 10x like your entire combo so far?
I remember it overwhelming me.
I don't even care what the words are. I could just tell you if a girl opens her app and just sees this on the screen, it's already over. Like it's already over, right?
I don't even think I read
your
it.
head probably goes back at that point like, dude, chill.
I really don't even think that I read this. He didn't even really give advice too. He just said,
What was
hey,
the
like,
advice? Choose 1 to 4 countries.
To go to less countries
Yeah.
and to explore the country in depth.
Yeah, so another takeaway from this, guys, is concision is key. If you could say the same thing that you want to say in half the time, please do it. In this guy's case, he could have said this in literally 1 sentence. He could have said something like, I've been to Europe before, don't make the mistake of over traveling to a lot of cities. And his message would have actually been processed a lot better before this misunderstanding. And it's also a demonstration of just low value because you're super over investing. And as a result of that, I'm surprised you even responded. Shout out to Dola for even responding, but she says, lots of advice, haha. So she's like, dude, what the fuck are you sending me, bro? And then the guy comes back with, okay, so it's clearly over at this point. So even before this though, like, I know guys might look at this breakdown and be like, oh, well, obviously he blew himself out. Like, look at this response. But even before that, I think it was honestly over. I literally think the moment the girl texted Europe in a month, like the convo was already done. It's not spicy enough. Like she literally just gave you a chance because you had a really good looking profile. But even still, dude, like this is weak texting up until this point. So in summation, a couple of the key takeaways from this video. Number 1 was...
I would say number 1 would be to use the prompts or to use the dating profile bio to open, to initiate conversation, to even change the subject.
Right. It doesn't always work, but if there is an instance where the girl has something in her bio, something in her pictures, something in one of her prompts that you can comment on, by all means do it. I think it makes the beginning of the interaction more genuine, more authentic, and most likely gonna get a better response rate.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's actually the one thing I think this guy did really well. From there though, a couple of the key mistakes that you guys can learn from is the idea of having too much of a logical back and forth conversation. Okay, the moment you get the girl engaged, within the first, I think 2 or 3 messages, there needs to be at least a little bit of flavor. You don't need to just straight up ask the girl out, oh, she responded, hey, we should go out and grab a drink. No, it doesn't need to be that abrupt and obvious. So in the first 2 to 3 to 5 messages, it does need to start to become a little bit flirty, a little bit playful or teasing, and possibly bring up the idea of you guys potentially doing an activity together. And by the way, you don't actually need to go and do that activity. I know some of you guys might be like, well, I don't smoke. It's okay. It's okay. It's just
you don't need to.
You don't need to smoke. You don't need to actually end up doing that activity. It's just moving the interaction towards the idea of us possibly doing that. So these are the mistakes this dude made. And then the last obvious one is this dude just dropped this logical bomb on this girl. And the idea of being more concise with your messaging, if you can say what you want to say in 1 sentence versus 3 messages, the more concise, the more simple, the better, especially when her responses aren't that big. Have you ever been texting a girl you really liked, but you just didn't know what the next message was to send her?
All the time.
If so, I have really good news. I just created my brand new mobile app regarding text game and social media mastery. So not only am I gonna teach you everything you know about texting, but there's also an instant response feature inside of the app. And what that means is you can literally send me your conversation, where you're at with this girl, and I'm gonna tell you the exact perfect message that you need to reply to that girl to actually get her out and get her on a date. So it's all included in my brand new mobile app. The link is in the description, guys. Click that link right now, download the mobile app so we can start getting you more women and more dates right now, okay? Click that link. I'll talk to you guys soon.